Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now let's start with the first story. It's called 50 euros a month. In my previous company, we were required to drive leasing cars. The budget was based on your position, and I got myself a nice, fully equipped diesel car since I drove over 200 kilometers a day. All was good for a couple of years, and the end of the lease was coming up. I was planning to get the same car again, and found out that due to inflation, the rates went up, but our budget didn't. This forced me to drive a model with a smaller engine and fewer options. So I talked to management, because the difference was only 50 euros a month. The answer was no. I tried a few other things, but they kept refusing. After reviewing my contract, I found out that I was also allowed to drive a gasoline car. Although the company encourages the employees that drive more than 100 kilometers a day to drive a more fuel-economic diesel car. So I went to my dealership, and after a few test drives and some tax discounts, they were able to get me a car loaded with options for a rate that was the same as a model with a smaller engine. To my surprise, the leasing form I submitted was approved, and 1 month later I picked it up and liked it from day one. Coming from a diesel car with a consumption of 1 liter per 20 kilometers, I went back to 1 liter per 11 kilometers. Add to this that gasoline was about 30 cents per liter more expensive than diesel. Fast forward 1 month, few statements coming in, and suddenly I'm the one who uses the most fuel in the company. I got called into the office to explain. So I did, and pointed out that the regulations stated that people were encouraged but not required to drive fuel-economic diesel cars. And since they didn't want to do anything on my budget, I got myself a nice gasoline car. So saving 50 euros a month ended up costing 300 euros a month extra. Shortly after that, they closed this loophole. The next story is called The Job You Want. I work for a family business with 30 plus employees. This is a company that has friends and family members as top-tiered management and often made up rules whenever they felt like it. When new employees join the company, they sign a basic employment contract stating the compensation, benefits and work hours. The company does not have a written code of conduct. One particular manager is a friend of the president. Let's call her Sally. Sally manages a team of 8 employees, including myself. We aren't allowed to make small talk while working, and we are required to let her know when we start taking our breaks, and when we return from breaks. Sally interjects whenever a team member is asking another team member questions, because Sally is a micromanager. Sally also makes us come to work early once a week for 30 minutes, unpaid, so that she can recap the previous week, and often uses this time to tell us what we are doing wrong. She made it clear that this weekly meeting is mandatory. During one meeting, she brought up expectations for continued employment at the workplace. No swearing, no talking bad about customers amongst ourselves, no personal phones on desk, no music during work hours, no talking to other departments unless it's work related, etc. Then she brought up the dress code. It's important to note that we've never heard of a dress code at work, and our jobs do not require face-to-face interactions with customers. Most of our dealings are via phone or emails. We may see a customer drop by once or twice a year. Most of the team members wear hoodies or long-sleeve t-shirts with jeans or leggings. I usually wear a simple top with pants with my hair neatly blow-dried. Apparently, that's not appropriate enough. Sally said we should try to dress better and more professional to keep up with the company's image. Her sell was, dress not for the job you have, but the job you want. She made us all sign a document citing the topic of discussion at the meeting. You want us to dress for the job we want? Okay. A few of my colleagues and I decided to comply the following day maliciously. I put my hair in a messy bun and wore my Costco leggings and my husband's old t-shirt. That was my everyday look when I was unemployed. Sally saw me when I walked through the door and asked why I was underdressed. I said, "You asked us to dress for the job we want. I want to go back to being a stay-at-home mom. I loved staying at home." She said, "That's not what I meant. I meant bigger aspirations and goals," as she looked at me with exasperation. Shortly after, my other colleagues showed up, one after the other. 2 wearing full workout gear, and 1 wore her anime costume. One guy wore a t-shirt with expletives. The president noticed and asked us if Halloween came early, and we told him what Sally said. I don't know what happened, but safe to say, there was no mention of any dress code since. The last story is called Review It. In the late 90s and early 2000s, I worked for a music magazine. Besides my regular duties, I also did some writing. I had a monthly column, wrote the occasional editorial, and sometimes did CD reviews. We did between 3 to 5 reviews per monthly issue, but received over 20 CDs per week from indie artists. With so much to choose from, we had an unwritten policy to not trash an independent band. Major labels' releases were fair game. They weren't puff pieces. We would still be critical and point out areas that could be improved. But with so little space for reviews, we wanted to focus on the positive rather than wasting it punching down on our local band. Many artists would call or email the editor to check on their submission and if a review was forthcoming. She was always diplomatic, saying we got a lot of CDs and can only do so many reviews a month. Most artists accepted that and moved on. Some were persistent, but one band in particular just would not leave it alone. They called and emailed her constantly, and her replies got less diplomatic. She listened to the CD and flat out told them they did not want us to print a review. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and gave it to me to review. To her credit, she did not try to sway me one way or the other, just told me to be honest. Here's the thing about independent bands. Most of them are okay. They are not great. They are not terrible. They can sing, they can play their instruments, they can stay in tune, they can stay in time. But they are not very memorable. Songwriting is hard. For most artists, 2 seconds after I'm done listening, I couldn't tell you anything about what I've just heard. That's for most bands. These guys on the other hand were flat out awful. Performance, lyrics, melody and production value. There was not one redeeming quality that I could spin into a positive review. Musicians can be arrogant and not always realistic when judging their own music, but these guys were beyond the pale. I don't remember exactly what I wrote as it was almost 20 years ago, but it was definitely the most critical review of an indie band we've ever done. I was honest and straightforward and tried to make suggestions for improvements. My editor let it run in the next issue. The only feedback she got was a short email from them saying thank you when they learned the review was coming out and nothing since. Thankfully, no other artist ever pushed like them, so that was the only time. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.